Hi Libra, welcome to your mid-month reading, and this is the reading for Libra suns and Libra risings, so not your moon, okay? So don't watch it for a Libra moon. This is for Libra suns and risings, and the reason is that I want to have an AstroChat with you and just pull some cards. Okay, so this is not going to be a comprehensive reading about the month of January. I already did that in the beginning of the month, and this is just a quick reading. I'm gonna pull a few cards and I'm gonna talk a bit about the astrology at the moment, because at the moment that I'm recording this video, Mercury just entered Aquarius. Mercury is at 1 degree of Aquarius, and Mars just entered Taurus. It's also at 1 degree of Taurus. So Mars is squaring Mercury in Aquarius, but also squaring Saturn and Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius. And I talked about the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius in another video. I'm gonna link it up here so you can check it out. But I'm gonna quickly talk about, I'm just gonna do a quick overview of these energies for you here. And these planets, they are squaring each other, as I said, in fixed signs. Okay, so both Taurus and Aquarius, they are fixed signs. And what happens when we have a square? They are different planets in different zodiacs of the same modality, and they are kind of pulling with the same force in different directions. So there is a constant tension. It's a relationship of tension between them. They are constantly pulling, and it can feel very uncomfortable, very frustrating, and it's also a very stubborn energy. And especially in fixed signs. Fixed signs are very stubborn by nature. They want things their own way. They don't want to change, okay? Once they start something, they want to continue moving in that direction. They are not comfortable changing directions, okay? And Aquarius does that by thinking that their way is better, okay? So with Aquarius, it's about the new ways. It's about being innovative, it's about being creative, it's the new ways in which society organizes itself. But it's still my way. You know, it's just that my way is newer, is more innovative, is more creative, is better, but I want things my way. This is Aquarius. And Taurus is just, I am moving very slowly. Once I set my mind into something, I keep on moving. I don't like to change my course, because Taurus takes a long time to start moving. Imagine a bull. A bull takes a long time to start moving, but once it starts moving, it will keep on going. Okay, so Mars is also where we have Mars in our chart, is where we put our energy, where we focus our energies. Okay, but Mars is also how we go after things. So the zodiac is the style of which that Mars acts, and the house is where it acts. And right now, Mars entered Taurus in your 8th house. So what do you want? And you want something very stubbornly. Judgment. We want things very stubbornly. The 8th house is the house of depth, is the house of chaos, but it's the house of the deep hidden meaning. So you want things to be deep right now. Okay, you want things to be beyond the surface. You are not comfortable with the superficial right now, because the 8th house is the house that comes after the 7th house, and the 7th house is the house of the partnership. So you create partnerships in the 7th house. In the 8th house is where you go deep below the surface in those relationships. What is hidden beneath the surface? How can you make it even more deep? Scorpio doesn't like superficialities. So with Mars in Taurus, there's a lot of stubbornness into wanting things to be deep. But Mars is squaring Saturn and Jupiter in the sign of Aquarius, which is happening in your 5th house. And the 5th house is where connections are made. So the 5th house is the house of play, is the house of fun, is the house of casual encounters, okay? So that's the house of in which we have sex and we flirt, but it's the casual sex, okay? Is where we start having an emotional connection with someone. That emotional connection will be transformed into a partnership in the 7th house, and that partnership will become deep and more meaningful in the 8th house. So, sorry, let me have some water. So with Jupiter and Saturn in your 5th house, you're being asked to transform, to find new ways, to accept new ways of connecting with people. And that comes through play, through fun, through casual encounters. But that is squaring, so it's in a frustrating relationship with Mars in your 8th house. You want depth. You want deep connection. But you need to learn how to play and have fun first in the 5th house. Okay? Because that's also how it works, right? We need to learn the lesson from the previous signs. And the 5th house is the house of Leo. So it's the house of finding things that are special, finding our own uniqueness. It's also the house of expressiveness, creativity. It's where we find what it is special about us. And we show that to someone else when we connect with them in this more casual, flirtatious, and fun, playful way. But Mars wants things to get deep. And it doesn't want to compromise. That's the problem here. Both signs, they are fixed, so they both don't want to compromise. Mars doesn't want to compromise its wish to get deep into things. And Saturn and Jupiter are saying no, but first you need to learn how to play, how to be casual, how to have fun, how to express yourself in a more unique, creative, innovative way in Aquarius in there. So, cause and consequence here with this judgment. Because judgment, when we get to the judgment card, that's where our deeds are weighted. And we either get the rewards or we pay the price. This is a card of karma. This is a card of rewards. This is the final judgment. But the problem is, with this Knight of Swords in the reverse and the Eight of Pentacles in the reverse here, there's a lot of wanting to move forward and not the same willingness to put the work. So these are contrasting energies. And we had this with all the zodiacs, okay? We are all feeling stubborn right now. It's not just with you. It's with every single zodiac, because these squares are happening in fixed signs. So it's the nature of the square in this case. It's a stubborn square. We don't want to compromise. But how do you integrate conflicting needs? Because that's the thing. It's not about compromising your need for depth. Mars in the 8th wants depth, and there is that need for that depth in the 8th house. That's also not something to compromise. But you also can't compromise the need of learning how to connect with people in more detached ways, because also it's Aquarius, and Aquarius is a sign of the collective. It's a zodiac that is very detached. So it's connecting with people in the 5th house in ways that are more impersonal. How do you do that? How do you integrate those two needs? Because they are equally important here. And that's the challenge of the square. That's exactly the challenge here. Is integrating without compromising, or without compromising too much. It's compromising just enough to integrate. And that will be done differently for each one of you. Each one of you will find your own creative way of integrating those energies. But we can't move forward before we put in the work. We need to put the work before we move forward. So, to finish it off, let's get some oracle cards for you. And as I said, I'm gonna keep this reading very short. Go the distance. Yeah, for me it connects a lot with this Eight of Pentacles in the reverse here. You need to give that extra step. You cannot skip steps. You need to take things very pragmatically here. So you can't jump from high to deep connection. It needs to go through the casual phase first. So be careful not to want to jump steps with the Eight of Pentacles here, because the Eight of Pentacles is a very pragmatic card, okay? He didn't get to those 8 Pentacles by just waking up, blinking his eyes, and suddenly they are there. He had to work and carve each and single one of those Pentacles from the most boring parts of it to the more complex, intricate parts of the pattern, you know? Don't jump the steps with the go distance. Each and every step of the connection is important here. Wow. Yeah, for you, indeed, it's clearly about connections. Also, doesn't surprise me because of the 5th and 8th house, right? It was the same for Leo with the 10th and 7th house. So conscious connections. Be conscious of the people you connect with, but don't forget that, yes, connections, they have different steps. It's important to leave the casual part of it as well, and you are being asked to open yourself to the new ways of being casual, of being expressive, of playing and having fun. But it's not with all of them that you're gonna move into an 8th house connection, and that's something that's very deep here. We are not supposed to have 8th house connections with everybody that we cross our paths with. That's only with the people that survive the 7th house. Okay, the 7th house is where we firm our partnerships, our true friendships, you know, the one-on-one relationships that are deep, that are going to become deep connections. The 8th house comes after that. But many connections are gonna die in the 5th house. The 5th house is the filter, is the funnel. It's where we meet people, where we express ourselves, we connect with different people, but not all of them are going to survive moving into the 7th house. And the same way, not every 7th house connection is gonna move into the 8th house. So conscious connections. Each connection serves its purpose, but don't try to fit in connections from a different purpose into a different box. Oops. Hang on, let me get this card that fell here. That Judgment card keeps screaming discernment to me. Nice. So we got Coyote Spirit, trust in divine detours. And this makes me think of what I just said about the connections. Some connections, they serve its purpose, but that doesn't mean that they are meant to become 8th house connections. They might just have a different purpose. So sometimes we may have some detours when creating new relationships. And just because that relationship doesn't go to the place where we thought it was supposed to go to, that doesn't mean that it didn't serve its purpose. It was a detour, but it might have been a detour for a reason. It had something different to teach us. So Libra, that's all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.